Master of Magic offers a complex and bewildering array of spells, abilities, and races to choose from. Deciding what magic to practice, which abilities to use, what races will do well, and where to start is more than one can take in at first. Node Mastery is perhaps the best special ability to have. The 3 spell books you must choose provide you with a chance at the most useful spells in the game: Water Walking, Spell Lock, Floating Island, Web, Confuse, and Flame Strike. In addition to doubling the power obtained from nodes, your spells will not fizzle when you are battling over a node, where some of the toughest combats in the game will be fought. Each color of magic has its own special ability. While taking one of these abilities, particularly the divine and infernal ones, may seem worthwhile, these picks will dilute the effect of taking so many spellbooks in one area. If you choose another spellbook instead, you will have 4 or 8 more spells, a greater number of which will be guaranteed. Mana Focusing is a powerful multiplier. In effect, it gives you a 25% boost in power from all sources, though you will have to take 4 spellbooks in one discipline in order to have it. You may consider it a poor man's choice when specializing in death or life magics, since choosing it will give you one more pick to use for spellbooks. The next 3 picks make a powerful combination for those bent on world conquest. Being charismatic will greatly reduce your operating costs and keep those nasty old wizards off your back until you can crush them. Being able to buy artifacts and troops at half price is well worth the pick, especially when coupled with being famous. The description of the famous ability hardly does it justice. You'll have so many merchants, mercenaries, and heroes knocking on your door, you may want to put up a Do Not Disturb sign. If you're charismatic too, you can actually afford most of what they are offering. If you also take 2 books in life magic and cast Just Cause, you will be swamped with offers and pay little or no gold to maintain your troops. Being a warlord is expensive at 2 picks, but worth it. If you have chosen to be charismatic and famous, it is wonderful to have all those mercenaries and heroes immediately go up 1 rank as soon as they are hired. That additional level of experience will help keep them alive long enough to reach maturity, when they can be sent out on their own to bash nasties good and proper. For people who like a quiet game with little interruption of their early development, being a Mirren is just the thing. You can take it as writ that no one will mess with you for a long time, considering what the normal reception is at Wizardry Towers. Starting on Mira is also the only way to choose 2 of the best races in the game, Dark Elves and Trolls. If there is one ability that is a waste, it's alchemy. Being an alchemist is a luxury you really can't afford. Any other choice made with this pick would be a better one. After playing so many games, I find that I almost never change power to gold or vice versa. Even those times when it is necessary, there is usually so much gold or mana that it doesn't matter that half is being lost. If mana is quickly needed, buy and sell off artifacts you don't need. You will get their cost in gold back as mana. Artificer is a good choice if you have a spare pick and you're not going to choose the famous charismatic combo. The hidden benefit of being able to trade the create item and create artifact spells to other wizards for good picks from them is almost reason enough by itself. Choose Conjuration if you plan to take 4 or more spellbooks in one color of magic, since it will vastly reduce the summoning costs of those fell beasts that are so expensive in mana to bring forth. Conjuration is a particularly boon companion to a specialty in death, chaos, or nature magic with their large number of summoned creatures. Here is the other half of the poor man's divine infernal power. Choosing Archmage and Mana Focusing will provide many of the benefits of divine power and make your spells much harder to throw off, not to mention the additional spell casting skill so easily obtained. If you take 2 spellbooks each in Sorcery, Chaos, and Nature Magic, Rune Master is a good choice. Having 2 books in each of those categories means you can guarantee that you will have some, if not all, of those vital spells such as Web mentioned above. A very powerful combination of complementary choices would be 4 books in Sorcery, 2 each in Nature and Chaos, Rune Mastery, Archmage, and Node Mastery, a selection that would make it nearly impossible for your spells to be broken. Sage Mastery is a throw-off pick, something to choose when you want to be fast out of the gate researching those early spells. I think this choice is worth a spellbook, but I wouldn't bet on it. Most of the other picks will show more direct benefits faster. If you take more than 3 books in one category, being a Sage Master could be well worth it, enabling you to get those rare and very rare spells ready for casting much sooner. On the whole, choosing to be a specialist in one category of magic is expensive, locking you out of trading spells with most of the computer opponents. The choices in this screen, taken from an online suggestion, work amazingly well. As leader of the Halflings, this guy can take over both worlds quite easily.
Choosing what sort of wizard to be is only half of the dilemma facing those who would be masters of magic. A second and equally important choice is what race to have as your minions. Long before you can take a city of another race, which may not be useful in any way, you can start several cities of your own. Barbarians grow fast, and that's about all you can say for them. They have the same weak shaman the other uncivilized races do, but their killer unit is relatively expensive, can take only 3 hits, walks 1 square a turn, and its only special trick is throwing weapons. In addition, they cannot build banks, mechanicians' guilds, or merchants' guilds, so their cities are poor producers. Poor gnolls, they aren't any better in the unit department, having only wolf riders to call their own. If the next patch to MOM does give them a movement of 3, these units are cheap enough that gnolls might be worth taking again, but only for those seeking a challenge, as they grow slowly and don't develop any faster than barbarians do. Orcs are near the bottom of the barrel, but there are important differences. They grow fast and can build all city improvements, so their cities will produce well. Unlike gnolls and barbarians, orcs can build priests and magicians in addition to wyvern riders. Like the previous specialty units, wyvern riders don't deal out much damage, but they will stand a bit more punishment. Their high cost means you won't have many of them, though. Lizard men are worthy opponents and a good choice, particularly for inexperienced players. While they can't build many city improvements, they can pump out dragon turtles and javelineers quickly. These 2 units in combination can take on nearly anything in the game, and since they move to and swim, no city is safe. Their only military downfall is that they cannot build an alchemist's guild, which means the javelineers will have a hard time against weapon-immune monsters. Clackons are 1-unit wonders. Their big unit is the stag beetle, but with a unit like this, who needs anything else? Stag beetles take a lot of killing, and with a movement of 2 can close quickly with opponents. Not only can they deal out punishment to drakes and other big critters, a goodly number of them will still be standing afterwards. Clackons don't build much in their cities, but they build it fast, and they have engineers, a vital unit on Mirror. Trolls are 1-unit wonders with a twist. As long as you win, they all come back. They're another underdeveloped race, so their cities are slow producers, their units are expensive, but they regenerate, and that one thing makes them worth taking. Build war trolls, build as many as you can, plus a few shaman, and you can conquer other races, letting them build the super creatures while you supply the cannon fodder. Beastmen provide mana, and will build large cities that can turn out troops rapidly, but unfortunately their units have neither the hitting nor staying power to be worth building. Even their high-value units, such as Minotaurs or Manticores, are weak and will let you down in the clinches against drakes and other large critters. Their most effective troops end up being the priests and magicians other races can build without heavy troops to back them up effectively. Draconians have decent troops and can construct high-output cities, but because of a defect in Master of Magic, they aren't a good choice as an initial race. In 1.1 and previous versions of MOM, flying units will not use the road bonus unless a land-bound unit is stacked with them. Since all Draconians fly except for settlers, you would need to produce a settler or rely on recruiting a hero or other normal unit to take advantage of the infinite road bonus, which is one of the primary reasons for choosing to start on Mirror. Halflings conquer the world! Details at 11. You can win with these little guys. Just build loads of shaman and get other races to build your Drake killer stacks. Halflings build big cities with good production capacity and lots of food if you set them to farming. There has been a lot of talk about slingers online, but they are undergunned for their cost and certainly don't have staying power. What makes the halfling strategy work is that nobody gets mad at them for taking their cities. Even races notorious for their irritability, dark elves, seem perfectly happy to let these little fellows rule them. Dwarves are fantastic producers and an excellent race to subjugate, but not as good a race to start with. They're the best race bar none to put in charge of mines, but they're irritable and other folks hate being ruled by them. Golems are as sturdy as any unit in the game with 20 hit points and 15 resistance, and their 12 attack dice will let them stomp on anything that doesn't fly. But for flyers, there are always steam cannons. 4 golems and 5 steam cannons will kill almost anything they catch. The problem is getting there. Nomads make some of the best cities and have a wide range of units in all price ranges to choose from. The only downside this race has is that they don't have engineers, but if you build rangers and stack them with other units, you don't need to build roads on Arcanus. The worst monster in the game is an air elemental, and this unit is one of the best ways to deal with them. Build a stack of griffins after erecting an alchemist guild, and you can finally take those sorcery nodes that have been taunting you from the start of the game. You will lose most of your stack of griffins in such a fight, but using life magic and a spellcasting hero should bring you through. Dark elves are bad dudes. They don't like anybody. They don't even like each other. The good news is that they produce 1 mana per person, create good-sized cities that will produce lots of gold and units, and they have the widest selection of worthwhile units in the game. Nightmares are nearly the perfect unit, having good melee and missile strength all in one package. All of their troops have missile ability, which means you can start conquering with a stack of a cheap spearman early in the game. Later on, you can build stacks of warlocks and blow away any creature that isn't immune to magic. So, who cares if no one likes them? High Elves are my favorite race. They put up large productive cities, they create mana, and for its price produce the best unit in the game, Longbowmen. Longbowmen have a Strength 3 ranged attack, 8 shots, and they can shoot with minimal penalty at long range. If they could build roads, they'd be perfect. For shock troops in the front ranks, you can use Elven Lords or Pegasi. I don't know which I like better. Before writing this article, I ran a small demolition derby running stacks of different units through a sorcery node to see what would come out. Not much did. At the node were 2 Djinn and 2 Skydrakes. I cast no spells and no heroes were present. The lowly Longbowman, which I expected to be crushed, nearly won, killing both Djinn, 1 out of the sky, and nearly killing the second Drake before succumbing. Highmen, the winners, and still champions! They can build nearly anything, they get along well with others, and they produce the wonder unit, Paladins. Paladins aren't cheap, but in combination their abilities let them withstand attacks that would slay other units outright, and put paid to any creature foolish enough to attack them. During the demo derby, they were the only stack that won. While stacks of Nightmares, Wyvern Riders, airships, and others failed, 2 of the Paladins emerged victorious. And this, even though they were unable to initiate any attacks of their own, but could only counterattack. The perfect race doesn't exist, but by taking advantage of the merits of each race, you can put together an empire able to defeat anyone. Build your stacks around 2 elements. Build 4 units with good staying power like Paladins or Dragon Turtles for the front rank, and build 4 missile units for the back ranks, such as Longbowmen or Steam Cannons. Add a hero who can spellcast if you have one, and you'll have a stack that can take on nearly anything and win. In this study, we will take a town through the early stages of development, ending with a town capable of building defenses rapidly or going on to build more esoteric refinements needed to produce high-level troops. The first step on the road is to put up a builder's hall. Even though it takes much longer than a smithy, you must have one so that a granary can be erected. The first 2 developments should be bought after a couple of construction turns if possible. The strategy for city development relies on promoting rapid growth, which requires a granary and a farmer's market, and both of those structures need a builder's hall. A granary has 2 benefits. First, it speeds growth, adding 20 people a turn. Secondly, when completed, it frees more townsfolk to work on buildings instead of farming. The food a granary produces may also be used to support units in the vital initial tack that will secure gold and mana for the cause, though building units early will hamstring a city's development. At this point, there are 2 paths you can take. You may either build a smithy and from there build a marketplace and farmer's market, or build a sawmill, eventually producing a forester's guild. Mind you, building a sawmill is a much longer task. Unless you need bowmen and need them now, delay building the sawmill forester's guild combo until after you have a miner's guild. Whether you build a smithy next or a sawmill, be sure and turn that lonely farmer into a worker so your building can be completed in one lifetime. The Sawmill Forester's Guild path won't really pay off until there are 10 or more inhabitants, and not even then if you don't have 3 or more forest squares. When you have plenty of gold and time is dear, buying a building outright can pay off big, but don't buy a building right away. Let at least 1 turn pass. Just 1 turn has gone by, and already you've saved 52 gold by waiting. Accelerating a city's development is expensive, but otherwise it'll be years before a new city will become a useful addition to your empire. The smithy is finished. The only immediate benefit is that you can now build swordsmen, but the real payoff will be when you have a market. Markets take a while to build, and should be bought if possible. You'll recoup your investment quickly in any town that has gold, gem, or silver mines. Farmers markets provide the same sort of benefits that granaries do, only more so. When this structure is finished, 50 extra people a turn will show up and nearly all the townsfolk can be turned out to work rather than farming. In these next 2 scenes, you can see the benefit in production and food of building a sawmill and forester's guild at this stage in a city's growth. Together, they only add 4 production points even in a town with numerous forest squares. Of course, a forester's guild adds 2 food, which will free more workers or support 2 units, but even their combined efforts don't outweigh the benefits of a miner's guild. A miner's guild costs the same as building a sawmill and forester's guild combined, but in most cases will produce far more benefits to a starting city. Here is an ideal city for a miner's guild currently producing 22 mana from mines. If you can, always use dwarves to develop money or power-producing mines, unless it is a mithril or adamantium mine. Save those sites for the races that will produce your fighting troops. After construction, the Miners Guild doubles mana production to 44 points, making this little town worth more than several nodes, with none of the fighting that taking those nodes would entail.